Welcome to The Christian Insurgent, the podcast where we confront the collision of faith and authoritarianism. I'm your host, Amos Dewey. Today, we're peeling back the layers of a dangerous new movement, one that claims to be Christian, but is, in truth, a betrayal of the gospel. This movement is what we call civil Christianity, a faith that no longer follows Jesus, but instead bows to power, nationalism, and white supremacy. For centuries, Christianity has been a faith of the oppressed, a religion that calls its followers to serve, to love, and to resist injustice. But today we are witnessing a transformation. Christianity in America is being repurposed, not as a path to the kingdom of God, but as a tool for earthly power. This is not the faith of Christ. This is the faith of empire, and it is being used to justify the most dangerous political shift in modern American history. Let's start with the political landscape. Donald Trump's presidency and his return to power has been fueled by a coalition of religious nationalists who believe that America is a divine project. But their vision of faith is one that glorifies wealth, power, and racial superiority. It is a Christianity that seeks domination, not service, vengeance, not forgiveness, and empire, not the kingdom of God. Elon Musk has now positioned himself as one of the architects of this new authoritarian order. His influence extends beyond tech and finance. He is actively reshaping the government itself. With unchecked access to federal financial systems, Musk has begun dismantling public institutions under the guise of efficiency. But the deeper truth is this. These cuts are part of a broader plan to consolidate power into the hands of the elite, while the working class, the marginalized, and the poor are left behind. Where does civil Christianity fit into all of this? It provides the moral cover. The language of faith is being weaponized to convince millions of Americans that these actions are not only justified, but divinely ordained. The belief that God has chosen certain men to rule and that their power must be defended at all costs is at the heart of this new gospel. But let's be clear, this is not Christianity. This is a perversion of the gospel, a twisting of Christ's teachings to serve the ambitions of the powerful. Think about what Jesus actually preached. He said, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." He taught us that the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. He spent his time with the poor, the sick, and the outcasts, not with kings and billionaires. And yet, civil Christianity tells us the opposite. It tells us that might makes right, that wealth is a sign of God's favor, and that true Christianity is about defending the power structures that uphold white, nationalist, capitalist supremacy. This is nothing new. Throughout history, we've seen Christianity hijacked for empire, from the Crusades to manifest destiny to the endorsement of slavery from the pulpit. But today, in America, we are witnessing the next great perversion of the faith. It's a movement that seeks to merge the cross with the flag, the church with the state, and the gospel with the ideology of conquest. And the consequences? They are dire. Civil Christianity is fueling policies that strip aid from the poor, justify racial discrimination, and silence dissent. It is being used to dismantle democracy itself, because when faith is no longer about serving the least of these, it becomes about serving the most powerful. But here's the good news. Christianity does not belong to the empire. It never has. And we are not powerless. The true gospel calls us to resist. It calls us to stand up for the poor, to fight for justice, and to refuse to bow to authoritarian leaders who claim divine right to rule. So what do? We reclaim our faith. We call out the false prophets. We reject the idea that Christianity is a tool of the state. And we remember that Jesus stood with the oppressed, not the oppressor. This is not just a political fight. It's a spiritual one. The soul of Christianity is at stake, and we must choose. Do we follow Christ or do we follow Caesar? Because we cannot serve both. Thank you for joining me on this episode of The Christian Insurgent. Stay informed, stay engaged, and above all, stay true to the gospel. Until next time, I'm Amos Dewey,